Feedlots operating under the National Feedlot Accreditation Scheme really needs to do a number of things, and one of those is how they manage and handle their cattle. Most feedlots run extensive training programs to ensure that all staff are well drilled in the calm and safe handling of animals. So at all times in a feedlot, the cattle are generally handled with horses so that the animals are not frightened by the movement, and all that of course starts with the weaning and the backgrounding right through to the facility, where we again continue with that calm and quiet handling of the animals.
The really important thing about processing cattle though is how those cattle are handled and how those cattle are brought into the race. And through the 1980s and 1990s there was an attempt to try and engineer good animal welfare into our feedlots, and so a lot of setups were built with fully sheeted sides where the cattle can't see the handlers, and catwalks were built so that people couldn't see the cattle and had to be over the top. The belief was that this reduced the stress, but more recently we figured out that this actually increases the stress and fear of these cattle when they can't see where their pressure is. And these facilities didn't help the welfare at all of these situations. So in the last 10 years or so, the trend has been come to remove the sheeting, take away the catwalk, bring the people to the cattle once again so the cattle can interact with the handlers, and a lot better outcomes are occurring for both the people, less frustration for the people and a lot less stress on the cattle. The important things of handling cattle in the processing is don't overcrowd the tubs if you're using a tub system. You only put as many animal in the tub that can fill the race. Fill the race in batches. Don't continually aggregate cattle by trying to put one more into the race. Wait till the race is near empty before you refill it. Don't have people harassing cattle. Get out of their flight zone. Let the cattle do what they want to do, and only encourage them to move when they need some help. Get rid of the dogs. Get rid of the hot shots. They don't help. They make things worse. And train our people on how to handle cattle a little better. By reducing this stress and by limiting the amount of processes that happen to the cattle, it'll improve that feed intake and that water intake in that start-up period. So once the cattle have been processed, it's important that they are then taken to their home pen, and that once again the handler is the key person here. The handler takes those cattle to the pen, stands at the gate and allows those cattle to walk past them into the pen, reducing their fear and their anxiety. And then once all the cattle are in the pen, that handler needs to spend a little bit of time, just a couple of minutes in the pen, showing the cattle that, you know, this is a good place to be. This is where they need to be, and if it's good enough for the handler to be in the pen, then it's going to be good enough for those cattle to be in the pen as well. From that point, for the next few days, it's really the acclimation is most important, where the handlers work with these cattle every day to ensure that they're all eating, they're all doing their fair share, they're confident, they look forward to the handler coming in every day. And these are just little 20-minute sessions that will completely change the outlook of those animals, drive their feed intake, make sure they're all doing their fair share, they're all eating what they can, and there is no cattle that are eating poorly. And we've learned that we can reduce the stress and we can reduce the fear by simple cattle handling techniques of teaching these cattle a little bit about pressure, rewarding them for that, for when they accept that pressure, teaching them how to walk straight, teaching them how to leave a pen in an orderly fashion, teaching them how to walk past a handler without any fear of being yelled at or poked with a stick or had stones thrown at them or anything like that. These lessons only take 10 or 15 minutes per day, and within 3 or 4 days the cattle are socialised, the cattle are interacting with each other and responding quite well to what the handler is asking them. So the key is that the cattle will work for you as the handler, and it's not a contest, it's a partnership between the two.
Well, one of the big things we try to instill in them straight away is the respect for livestock. We don't allow noise or any sticks, jiggers, that type of deal. We don't use dogs in the feedlot. We try to encourage the people to watch more experienced staff members to get an idea of what they're doing. Like some of these people have never worked with livestock before, and actually they're some of the easiest to train because they have no bad habits. But we're pretty strict on how we handle cattle. They've got to be handled in a quiet manner and not allowed to get out of control. We spend a lot of time with our livestock.